I lived on a sailboat in Key West. Fell asleep gazing at a billion stars. Woke up to the sun and the ocean in a staring contest as far as the eye could see. When you grow up in Indiana, across the street from Lake Michigan, your father teaches you how to sail, and you love it. The course of my life was angled to the wind, and I felt at home on the surface of two worlds colliding. When I was 27 years old, I met Grace in Vermont. We got married 2 years later and spent 1 week of summer sailing Lake Champlain. I got a captain's license in Texas, and bad news at age 30. A cancer that made my bones look like a worn sail. Chewed through like I had moths in my veins. That was the first time they gave me 3 years to live, 23 years ago. One could say it's what prepared me for this now. Round 2. This isn't what defines me. I learned that when I was young. I worked for tall ships mostly, running up and down the rigging, raising spirits and controlling tension. I learned how to brace myself, how to hold my breath without closing my eyes. It's all in your attitude. And who you love, and who loves you. And believing you will, in fact, survive. When the grape behind my knee grew to the size of a small watermelon, I cried an ocean of tears because you cannot drown in the company of love. Friends and family resuscitated my disposition at daily appointments. I was thrown a line of hope during a downhaul, gifted the ring buoy of group therapy. I was scared, but I was never alone. One time, I was hired as a sailor on the Lynx, which sails up and down the East Coast doing tall ship festivals. I spent time as a master gunner, firing cannons. I grew a beard. I once broke a whole bunch of ribs, and my humorist. But nothing hurts as much as the idea of being taken too soon. I still have things to do. Radiation, chemo, peripheral nerve sheath tumor. 53 years old. I was walking the day after surgery. One could say it's what prepared me for this now. Round 3. It's all in your attitude.
Labadootin day.
Diddly die badooba. Dum. I loved the adventure of the trauma unit, being able to help people, the excitement of transplant, never knowing what you're going to get, the healing, the healing. I love seeing people get better. Maybe it's different being a nurse, sensing it, knowing it's cancer. What can you do? I was calm, I took a shower. I prayed, I didn't cry. Maybe it's different because I am a single person. No children, no husband, just me and the hospital, and ballroom dancing, and Jesus, and Jesus. Maybe it's different because of my faith. God doesn't give me anything I can't handle. When I go to the church, I look at the crucified Christ, his outstretched arms, and I feel him embracing me. I feel him lifting me up. I offer everything to him. I'm yours, you're mine. My life is by your design, and I may not understand everything all the time, and maybe I don't need to, but I had a really hard time, a really hard time.
They gave me high-dose chemo, and I had all the side effects, and no knowledge of what could and would come. I have forgotten where I live. I have forgotten how to add. I had a blistered face. Not everybody gets a blistered face. Can you imagine how disfiguring that is? Besides being bald, I lost all my nails and all of my toenails. ridges covered every digit. Suffered constant diarrhea. Began to wear 2 pairs of pants when I got C. diff colitis. I had blood in my urine. Extreme pain in my muscles and bones, a sensory and motor neuropathy. I have chemo, brain. I keep following the Lord. I keep following the instructions of my physicians. I keep believing I will come out of this alive. I had a mastectomy. I have tendinitis. I keep falling. I tore my rotator cuff. I had a narrowing of my esophagus and stomach. And now I have diabetes. I think God was just challenging me, testing me to see if I really wanted to do another medical mission back to the Philippines, where I'm from. I've been doing them for 25 years. Oh, but did I mention that when my doctor gave me the clear to go this year, I got dengue fever? So I had to cancel. I still don't think God gives me anything I can't handle. I am a gold bar ballroom dancer. Because nursing is so depressing, and psychologists are so expensive, and really, with enough time spent digging, you can access dimensions of yourself no one ever knew existed. I don't need a couch for that, but a dance floor never hurt. When you're going through hell, sometimes the most you can hope for is an ice pack and the reassurance that one day you will go home to your heavenly Father. It was God that saved me, no matter how guilty it made me feel to survive. I wonder at the order and intention of things now. I wonder if someone prayed harder for me, and what's to come. I made them tell my wife. I needed a few more days to refuse that there were any results at all. I wrestled with the facts folded up on the counter, waited 3 to 4 days longer than her to face the truth. To accept that stage 4 lung cancer was tangling the laces of my future, double knotting the undeniable with a death-grip fist that cut off all feeling to my left foot. The marathon of my ambitions fell flat on its face. Full brain radiation resulted in short-term memory loss. From what I can remember, this isn't a pretty story. My heart aches as I long for the days when I take a 3-mile run. What used to be a walk in the park feels like the most effort I've ever made at anything. Every step I take is one less I take tomorrow. I spend more time in recovery from the exhaustion of my memory of how much I used to love this. I've built up short jaunts, but mainly, I spend most of my time learning to accept the burden of my traveling this journey in my own shoes. I I tried so hard to ignore it all, spent so much time pretending it wasn't happening, that others began to do the same.
It's pretty. My heart longs for days when I take a 3-mile run. What used to be a walk in the park is the most effort I've ever made at anything. Every step I take is one less I take tomorrow. It's one less I take tomorrow. It's one less I take tomorrow.
I still look normal, so people treat me normally and think I'm over it. But there's only one way out of stage 4, and every time the oncologist forces me on the scale and announces another pound lost, my spirit gets heavier. This is why at home I stay out of the mirror. I can't watch myself waste away. Most days I feel no hope, only minor relief in the small things while my children run around in the background. And I can't even keep up with their growth rate. The only finish line left for me to cross is one I never want to reach. Last week, my son's school sent home a call to action, like a cheerleaders on the sidelines asking everyone to wear pink. Like most people, they think they're helping, though like most people, they didn't ask, and neither did I. This well-intentioned ignorance on how to be supportive was disqualified, them completely unsure how to reply when I respond with a chart of colors for each of the cancers. Everyone thinks of pink because we feminized illness surrounding a sexualized body part and minimized its unseen effects. Individual cancers are like personal stories. No one wants to hear them unless they have happy endings. I didn't want this to become the thing I became an expert in. Sometimes it feels like I'm the only one who's ever had cancer. I get lonely. My wife tried to fix this, but there is no fixing this.
The only finish line left for me to cross is one I never want to reach. Last week, my son's school sent home a call to action.
It's not like the years we built houses with our bare hands, consulted on best practices to allow people to age comfortably in their homes. Now, the more I work, the more spots. The more radiation, the less energy. The less time I have to teach my sons empathy toward others' pains and anxieties. So I stay in most days, unable to push like I used to, unable to sweat anymore. Always, always, always cold, despite all these warm layers. Self-advocacy isn't my strong suit, but let me say this. Stop reminding me I have cancer with the tone of your voice. With their shimmers. Cancer doesn't care that you're already busy enough, that you can't fit anything else into a day. It makes no concessions for Friday night football games or homecoming photos. Cancer doesn't know that the smell of crayons brings joyful tears in my eyes. It has no idea that the best Mother's Day cards are red hearts cut from crisp construction paper. Cancer tries to take up space in my phone with voicemails from doctors and surgeons, but the storage limit is already near max with grocery lists and silly family photos, games for long drives, and 3 different apps to get in touch with grandma anytime, day or night. Cancer doesn't understand the scent of tradition or how many different celebrations there are to bake for. It doesn't know that Christmas wreaths don't just weave themselves, nor does it understand that there's a timeline on how many years she'll ask me to braid her hair, and I am not going to miss a single one of them. Cancer tries sneaking in a window, not knowing nothing goes unnoticed when I'm in charge. There's no sound that scares a mother like silence. I am immediately suspicious. I notice every bump, every bruise, every contusion. I thought this cancer was a pulled muscle. I laid in the bath, rubbing a mass that crashed through the drywall like the Kool-Aid Man, disrupting summer vacations like the common cold. But there is no mess too overwhelming. I don't have time to succumb to this. I've got to make gluten-free gingerbread cookies in consideration of all the children with nut allergies while meticulously measuring out how much vinegar makes an active volcano the night before it's all due. I live for my kids, in spite of a round of chemo or two, because cancer isn't cozy. Smashed between homegrown fingers and toes on movie night, doesn't get what the big deal is when the popcorn kernels blossom. Blossom, blossom. My children spend so much of their time amazing me, I don't know how they get anything else done. I grew up with my oldest and damn sure determined to see my youngest make their way across life's stage. I miss my belly dancing troupe and all the energy I had to plan vacations. I'll never use the word worry in the same way again. But I can't give up. I can't hide under my bed and let it take over my life. I have to get up, even when I can't. Cancer is not have a big nose, funny eyes, and large breasts. I've always said 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3.
So when the verdict came down that the left of my best assets would have to go, I asked them to take both, wipe the slate clean, make it all go away, start fresh.
Have to go, 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 have to go.
I treated cancer like a closed book, fully accepting of trading in symbols of my womanhood in favor of newer models and guaranteed health. The doctors, they tell you limited things. They do not illustrate the gravity of the surgery.
Take them out, take them out, take them out, take them out.
The expanders would not take, despite debridement and delicate hands doing everything they can to refine me, as promised. My body could not stand foreign objects, appointment after appointment, doctor after doctor. The first thing I attended to when nothing went right was my mind. There were group gatherings, soul circles, private therapies with open door, I'm on the way, policies. There were better uses of my time than to regret not knowing what I didn't know sooner. There were people pouring through the doors looking for answers I already had. So I made myself good at that. I showed up when I wanted to stay in. I got up when I wanted to give up. I let strangers comfort me while loving them right back.
Let them in, 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 let them in.
Sometimes you need someone like that, and most times you don't know it. You're so busy trying not to show your fragility, so busy trying to be anything except vulnerable. Because as a culture, we find breakdowns so insufferable, unless it's someone considerable, a celebrity like Gilda, who made us laugh while she lived and cry when she passed, who made us laugh while she lived and cry when she passed. something of a craft, the gift of so few, to show up when everything is awful. God bless the heroes of the uncomfortable. I am so grateful I got to be one too.
By the time I got the proper diagnosis, it was too late. The choices had been
narrowed down to one.
The doctor said,
this aggressive form of cancer is fixable as long as you're willing to lose an eye, or you can die within 6 months.
I consider myself lucky. Could have been an arm or a leg, but it was only an eye. Group therapy saved me mentally. I felt so guilty watching women lose breasts and ovaries until they held me in their prayers, assuring me
there was no need to compare. An eye for an eye. It's all cancer.
It's all cancer. Now, I'm an open book to a point, but every man has his limits. Every human has their sacred ground. You might be surprised how many blind people are walking around with 2 fully functioning eyes. This one time, I was somewhere between Kansas City and Branson, grabbed an iced tea from the fountain, paid in cash, walked back to the truck, walked past a woman in her 50s who gave me that look. She opened her mouth and with absolutely no discretion, blurted out,
"What happened to your eye?"
I took the deepest breath a person can take when you're tired of rescuing others from their obliviousness. I responded, "It's a long story." Because it is. What I should have said was, "Don't you think that's a personal question?" But my shock at her audacity reminded me of how my perceptions changed since I became effective at inadvertently leaving an impression. I've been on an operating table every few months for years, recreating the man I am to become.
Skin graft from the thigh now covers the socket where the eye used to be.
Cancer's like life. You evolve and go on. That's all you can do. You can't ask, what if? You adapt on a daily basis. It's not easy at all, but you get used to it. Life goes on. I get it from kids. They think I'm a pirate. What I can't take is adults and their inability to be silent. What if I didn't have the last 2 years of people staring, pointing? What if I'd been forced for a lifetime to explain why when you look at me, there's no need to be afraid? I am the masterpiece of many talented hands who all have expanded the likelihood of my living to be an old man. That lady, she should have known better. We've seen enough people in our lives to know how to have some tact. You don't ask someone why they're in a wheelchair or have a limp or anything invasive like that. You just walk by, say a prayer, hope they get better, and mind your business.
When I was young, I composed with a chorus of calculator keys crunching beneath my rapid-fire fingertips. I was young, conservative, educated, poised. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah. All the things women have to be when suffering a feminine disease in a male-dominated society. Young, conservative, educated, poised. I'm not one for sharing my feelings, not the type that broadcasts these kinds of things. This was very private to me. I was used to fighting the battles in boardrooms, smiling politely, speaking through subtlety in the war on my right to be here. Young, conservative, educated, poised. Young, conservative, educated, poised. Having spent 20% of my life dealing with breast cancer. I try to focus on being healthy, preventing reoccurrence, crunching those numbers for likelihood that this will end positively, but all I've been able to quantify are the number of people who were positive, supportive, from the sunshine to show me state, biopsy, diagnosis, treatment plan. I've become very liberal in my advice. If you've got a lump, get a biopsy. And find women friends who take this seriously. raise our hands to the heavens in praise of good men. Men who answer the phone expecting to listen, who hollow out rooms in their hearts for all the things we must bring but cannot carry. We give our dedication to men who know the strength of a gentle touch, who transport intimacy in their front pockets and our long history in the soles of their shoes. Men who rushed to be with us and never ran away. Men who wrapped our heads and talked to us like everything was fine. Notoriously late men showed up right on time with their staggering courage, shook off their coats, bloomed selfless before our very eyes with reassurance that tasted like soup, soothed like warm blankets. They absorbed the shock of our experiences with the steadfastness you want in a solid foundation. They took us out for fresh air, held us up toward the light so we could remember what it was we were fighting for, gathering their own strength from resources vast in number and quiet on their entry. Some of them worked their whole lives to leave behind a legacy of unconditional love expressed in subtlety of all the bravery in the room.
We raise our hands to the heavens.
That pushed every notion to the walls, thrust ideologies out the windows. Together we laid in that trench. We all know how dark a moment, how blinding a light. We all experienced what life thinks we can take as it births us forever bonded anew. We got to know men who never held our hands with any certainty of forever. Men who made commitments and renewed vows. Men who wanted nothing more than to be here today. Men who serve as the past and present. Men whose tears were audible and efforts incomprehensible. We owe our lives to men who bandaged our abrasions while taking the beating of our disappointment. Men who walked the dogs, chopped the firewood, stoked the flames of our hope. Stakes are high and we're all afraid of heights, but we know men who walked on stilts in search of the answers, who admitted to us you never want someone you love to live as much as you do when their number might be up.
Rushed
pivot like professional athletes, men who value the flexible, nurturing strength of femininity. Tonight, we raise our hands to the heavens in praise of good men. Fathers, sons, husbands, lovers, doctors, brothers, all dusted off and in plain sight. Accountable, resilient, empathetic, ready for anything. Retired at 55, headed for the beach. Lived in a surf shack with 3 cats. Never looked back on my youth of teaching and cheerleading with anything other than fondness. Anything other than fondness. It all led to this. I substitute taught to keep myself busy, enjoy the life I'd laid out alongside my lecture plans. I stayed active, selling insurance to bus drivers and fellow educators. 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 When years of anatomy and biology lessons made me suspect that a second opinion was my best bet. Found a lump in my breast. That 10 years of primary care refused to inspect. There was anything to detect. It was like they gave me a clean bill of health on a dirty napkin. I found a new doctor who wasted no time, but the weekend before anything was certain, I was plagued by the ring. No answer. We were all fairly sure it was cancer. It was a Tuesday morning in June. I was home alone when they called to confirm. He said with so much certainty, "You're going to be fine." At the end of the conversation, I began to cry hysterically, wishing I could reverse time an hour or two. In retrospect, my fear seems so much lighter than the truth. The heaviest thing I ever held in my life was the uncertainty. No one told me that once you make your plans, you calm down a bit. You're going to be fine. And that was it. Made me laugh, made me tea, made me get up when my soul was suffering. Nutrition became paramount. I was prescribed a good workout. I kept my weight down, stopped eating the cancer with sugar. I learned how to make jewelry and conversation with women who became my new friends that know what it's like to not be sure what tomorrow will hold. My cousin and her husband, who studied the ministry, took me down to the ocean's edge and prayed over me while I sat in a beach chair. For 3 nights I received this gift. I'm very passionate about Jesus, and I know over and over again, everything is going to be fine. I joined a clinical trial for 4 months, shrank the tumors in half, subtracted any likelihood of a mishap with a double mastectomy. 8 weeks later, my autonomy opted for reconstruction, and then I waited 6 more months for the final touches. The hickory nuts rained down on the camper, rattling the cage of our latest adventure. I spent 3 years saving my life, and now I refuse to waste any more time worrying about the cancer coming back. It can't have any more of my life than it already has. The thunder of my determination to make it out alive drowns out any doubt that I am fated to do anything other than survive. Anything other than fondness. Anything other than fondness.
The way my mother saw God in me made me believe in angels. From the day I was born, wild and divine, she pressed the pages of the good book between my clenched fists and asked me to consider that there could be something bigger than either of us could fathom. This is how I made sense of life. My mother taught me to be a stained glass window, to let the light of all that is sacred filter through me, to give grace to my humanity amidst all this talk of heaven. So much love enveloped us, I found myself in the entirety of her, like her name was my very first word. Even today, when I enunciate the consonants of her memory, they fill up my mouth with helium. And I burst into laughter. My mama never paused for permission, never pretended away her fear. She always left the house ready for church and reminded me to hold myself holy. I wore soft spots in her clavicles with decades of tears. Me smile so much, it's permanent now. Earlier this summer, only a few months after she left, I caught myself smiling in the reflection of a jar filled with fireflies on a summer night. My heels all green, shins blossoming yellow and purple. I missed her so much in their illuminating beauty that I wanted to keep the moment forever. Learn how to control the weather so I could unleash the thunderstorm in my heart and make an oasis in the desert of my throat where we could talk again. She filled me with hope and hot chocolate when we used to talk about what it meant to be mortal, woman. Some days more than others, mortal. I feel so heavy. Woman. If you asked me to pick my heart out of a lineup, I wouldn't be able to identify it. Alive. But that doesn't mean I don't try. Alive. I loved my mother, like grape popsicles and sunflowers in the fall. Losing her aligned my toes at the end of an era's high dive, plucked all the feathers from my wings and shoved me forward. I didn't want to let go, knowing it meant we'd both be in free fall into the great unknown. I prayed the whole way down for arms of compassion to catch me. And oh, how they did. My mother was as beautiful as writing in cursive, as exciting as my first checkbook. She gave me something to believe in when she held my chin in her hands and said, "Child, God breathed life into